set it up with, well, I'm just saying, we can't put the other way. And get it up.
So it has to be a little bit close actually so that you can get a voice. It's kind of what I'm going for. So that they can get Reverend Trish's voice. Yeah, that's probably
But,
more.
hold on.
What you think?
Let's see if we can, is anybody else on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else is on?
There's
So
the people on. Alan, Francis, Josh, Kathy, Sandy. Excuse me, Sandy. Sandy. Sandra.
Alan would be here today.
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
So let's see if anybody responds.
I'm asking, gang, please indicate if you can hear me.
Yep.
What? Oh,
It's open now. There's 6 people in. Oh, here we go. That's the problem.
what's the problem?
I admitted everybody. I thought it was admitting them automatically.
No. Okay.
Alright, so I'll just record it.
We should be able to remove the waiting room. Now everybody should be able to come in. Kathy, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes, and
Good.
I can see the window. I can hear and see. This is Sandy.
Hello. So,
Just tell everybody, remind everyone to mute. Reverend Trish. Just remind everybody.
okay. Because we're working off my phone, please self-mute. I could shut everybody up. Please self-mute. We're obviously doing technical things. I am grinning particularly because Jason is, for those who are on Zoom, Jason is doing a pivot of a whole mic stand in order to move from music to here. And so thank you, Jason, for the whole setup, for the recording, for all of the tech, and thank you for with Betsy and Pete and Dan. We are so blessed to have live music. And we are so blessed that all of you are here today. And so thank you for showing up. I'm Reverend Trish Hall, as all of you know, and it's my privilege to be community spiritual leader for the most awesome, growing, brand new Center for Spiritual Living Metro. And just wonderful things happening. I won't touch it again, I promise. Anyway, so we are here to provide tools so that everybody can really step into and lean into that whole possibility of their awesomeness, their spiritual magnificence. And so we come together every week, we have meditations, we have all these other things going on, and it's all in the pursuit of empowering individuals to come into their full, glorious awesomeness. So, with all of that, I'm delighted to introduce our practitioner of the day, who is not what's on the sheet, but anyway. So our beautiful practitioner for today is Gail Renwick, and she is also the master decorator that can transform any space on a moment's notice. It is amazing. She arrives with this little kit of stuff, and all of a sudden, we've got Christmas all over the place. And so, dear, you're up next.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning, church. I say church only because we are a congregation. Some of us may have a little bit of, angst out with the word church, but we are a community. We belong to each other. We belong together, and only trying to find a word, and that word is church. But we can use center, we can use art museum, we can use any name that we want. So welcome. Just going to be in a space where I encourage you to think of something that we would look at and say, isn't God good? Isn't God great? Think of that thing. And now I encourage you to think of you as that existence, you as that idea of God showing up as our existence. And so I want us to be in that space where you can look deep within you, whether you want to put your hand on your heart or put your hand where you know God resides. And be there for that moment, knowing that you are what God is, and we are not coming from a space of insufficiency or unworthiness. We are God. So be with that thought for a quick minute as we move into a moment of silence. And so it is. Please join me in the affirmation, and since we probably don't have a full handout, you can say after me. Oh, you do. So could you join me together as we read? Thank you so much. There is a power for good in the universe that is greater than I am, and I am using it now. I am using it to do my part to create a world that works for all. Together, we inspire individuals to awaken to their own divinity. We are here to make a huge difference. Yeah. So since we've done the centering, we're going to go into our reading.
I'm not, don't worry about it. Yours is right here.
And the reading today is from the book, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. Brené Brown is an amazing, first of all, social worker, but she also has, she also went on to do her doctorate in the studies of human compassion, human worthiness, human values, and the idea of how you show up in the sense of one of the things that she's been doing is how do you show up as belonging? How do you show up as love? And so our reading today would incorporate page 26 under love and belonging. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. And when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, we are respected, we are in kindness, and we are in affection. Love is not something we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow, a connection that can only be cultivated between two people when it exists within each one of them. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged, healed, and rare. And on belonging, Brené said, belonging is the innate human desire to be a part of something that is larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substitutes for belonging, but often barriers to belonging. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, our imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And I say, so it is to that. So let's go into prayer. And in this now moment, I know that God is. God is all there is. In every space, in every time, God exists. And so if God is all there is, I know that I am. I know that I am part of that existence. I know that I show up because God shows up. I know that God shows up because I am. And so it's with that knowing that I bless each person that is present with us today, present online and present in person. I bless each one with the thought, with the imagination of what today would show up for them as, even as they got dressed and getting ready to come to our center here at the Art Museum or on Zoom. What is it that is being called forth that I need to know today in love, in belonging, or in anything else? What is it that is calling me in this now moment? And so I bless that thing that is calling each one of us in this now moment, knowing that our service right here, right now, is blessed and very blessed. I bless Reverend Trish, I bless the musical team, I bless Reverend Jackie and Diane with the children's ministry. And I know that everything that is taking place today is already fulfilled with the highest and best outcomes. I bless everything else, anyone else who might be on their way or who are on their ways living and expressing God as only God can. I release, I let go, and I know it is so. And so it is. At this time, I would ask Diane to come and give a blessing for the children's ministry, please.
I'm just grateful and thankful to be able to stand in this energy that has already been set forth by our beloved. Thank you. She neglected to say she's also a part of the children's and family ministry. But we're blessing this time. We are beginning again in such a wonderful and fabulous and amazing way. And here we are now with children. We bless our newest member, Xavier, as he enters into our children's community, our youth and family community. And we know that everything that's necessary for his highest and best has already happened. So we bless this ministry. We know that all the children that are on their way, that will eventually find their way here, are blessed and guided with so much. They are just given the opportunity to be their highest and best. And so for this, I am grateful for this community that continues to say yes to its unfolding and growth. And I bless our time together. It is good and very good. And so it is. Amen.
And now I introduce
Music.
the music.
The drummer is slow.
Really sleepy.
He didn't have the right music.
With my
And now I introduce Reverend Trish.
Oh, such fun. It's so wonderful that we are together and we have one another. And on that subject, we're going to be talking about belonging today. And the longing to belong. And I wanted to start with a lovely, I want to take you on a visual, okay? And a few days ago, Reverend Jackie sent me a picture that is the master statement of belonging. And that is her newest grandson, who still is baby boy LeVar, not yet named. And so baby boy LeVar was lying on his daddy's chest and skin to skin, you know, making the connection. And they were both sound asleep when the picture was taken. And so if you can imagine that, imagine it for that new arrival in this world of form, that he went from a womb in which it was all about belonging. There was nothing other than belonging. And coming into the world and then being bonded with dad. He's bonded with mom, her scents and things that are mom. And now he is bonded with dad. And that's the level at which we are connected in that sense of belonging. And so when people say they're searching to belong, what they're longing to do is return to that sense. We spend our lives among, interestingly enough, what we learn in community is so important because we learn good things, but we also learn a thing called separation. Because the baby that arrived, he knows nothing other than belonging. And when we understand that we are yearning to return to that sense is what it's all about. And a last one, when we get into the world, things happen. And so I want to ask you to start with just kind of park the question. What is it that you need, what needs to be present for you to feel that you belong? And so just park that question and allow it to percolate as we go on through. Because it's important, really important for you to know that nothing exists outside of the God expression. And so we cannot, by that definition, we cannot not belong. We can't be separate. However, in our human journey, what happens is we learn disconnection. We learn separation. And of the last maybe 10 years, there's been a lot of emphasis on adverse childhood experiences. And they've determined that there are actual changes in the brain that happen, neural pathways, that are formed by these adverse experiences. But adverse experience, what they now put in this huge umbrella of adverse experiences is sort of like, yeah, that was my life, all right. That's, you know, that's how it was. Partly because people didn't know a lot about the technical aspect of brain neural pathways. But also just because, you know, we all did what we did the best we could with what we had at the time. And I think back about my daughter, and I bless her, she survived me. So, and a lot of us experimented on children, but that was how a lot of it was. And, you know, okay. And what's interesting about neural pathways is that they actually are traceable now with technology. They are, okay, and they form ruts, okay, and a rut is a rut, okay, and if you were a farmer, you would innately, or from tradition, know what you do with a rut. And the rest of us old city folks don't know what you do with a rut. Okay, if you don't fix the rut, the next vehicle along is probably going to high center. And when it high centers, that is when it feels. Okay, it loses the ability to self-propel. Okay, so the farmer knows you fill the rut with rocks and gravel. And by filling the rut with rocks and gravel, it brings it up to level, and more people coming along wouldn't even know there'd been a rut there. But when we are doing it in terms of neural pathways, call them neural ruts, okay, we get to choose what we put in. We get to fill the ruts just the same way the farmer does. Only we get to choose what we are filling it with. Now, life experiences, a lot of them, I mean, I have this whole trail of, okay, as a little kid, in our neighborhood, I was the only little girl. All the rest of the kids were boys. I didn't belong, flat out. I mean, I tried to keep up with them, and I even learned some, anyway, we won't go there, but what I learned, I used many times in my lifetime. But anyway, but I didn't belong. And then a couple of little girls moved into the area. Okay, I had my peeps. I belonged. And then they moved away. And then I went back to not belonging. And so there's this yo-yo cycle. Okay, so then as little kids, we start forming assumptions, or forming based on our experience, and we project those assumptions, unfortunately, because that's our belief. We believe we don't belong, for instance. Okay, so then we carry that shroud with us, saying, I don't belong, I don't belong. And so we know that what we focus upon expands in our experience. And that's such a wonderful thing and such an awful thing, because what we focus upon expands in our experience. And so we can take a neutral experience and make it really rotten. We are fully capable of that. Or we can take a neutral experience and make it really wonderful. And based on our prior experiences and this unlearning of belonging, what happens is we then move into another situation. And the next one that I encountered as a little kid was I couldn't learn to read. I could word sometimes, but I had a definite challenge. Okay, well, in the school system back then, they had this tarot. I mean, I can look back and think that was a terrible practice. Okay, what the practice was they color-coded the reading books so that the children who were skilled readers would have good books. And those books were red. And the next group was green. And the next group was blue. And then the next group was brown. Okay, I couldn't read. And back then, they didn't know anything really about dyslexia. And it confused everybody because they could give me an eye test and I could see. I could see, but I couldn't put the words together. So I didn't belong. I was embarrassed, and so I put a pretty book cover on my book to cover my brown book. Okay. That's the sort of thing that goes on, and that was the community. That was the community I lived in. And that community didn't know any better. And that community made it so that I carried that, quote, damage. Okay, kids that can't do something figure out a way to do something else. I learned to be really skilled at bluffing and cheating. I was amazing. I'd talk to the other kids who had the, if we had, for instance, a book assignment, a book report. Hey, I could even stand up and give book reports. And they were all based on what everybody else told me about the book. Like I said, I couldn't read, but I could cheat and bluff. I mean, it was amazing. Because kids are resourceful. And they will use whatever is available in order to make it through the day. And then we try to fit in. And fitting in is artificial, it's pretense. What we are seeking is to go back to baby boy Labar and know we belong. And know that we matter. And the we matter is so powerful because otherwise we're simply a repository for all the injuries, all the experiences, all the hazards, everything that happened to us along the way. But then, also as a function of community, we can find ourselves in a place that recognizes the divinity of all. And when we find ourselves in that space in which we are recognized for what we are and encouraged to show off. And isn't that a funny word? Because some people say, show off, you shouldn't show off. But the truth is, you are an incarnation of the divine. And so how dare you not, and that's Williamson, how dare you not shine? How dare you hold back the divine awesomeness that you are? And, okay, so there was some conditioning that said I shouldn't. Okay, doesn't matter. It's when you realize that you are an individuation of spirit. And so in community, you can learn and practice and know that whatever it is that you are bringing out as you is the divine in expression. What more could you be? And what would cause you to hold it back? I want to read something to you from Ernest Holmes, and this is in the category of get it, okay? You gotta get it on this one. I've got two get it's for you. And the first one is this from Holmes. The Spirit of God is an undivided, indivisible whole. It fills all time and with its presence and all space with its activity. Everyone is an incarnation of God and a unique incarnation. All are rooted in the one life. Your endeavor then is not so much to find God as to realize God's presence and to understand that this presence is always with you. Nothing can be nearer to you than that which is the very essence of your being. Your outward search culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, finding God at the center of your own being. Life flows up from within you. And so within baby Labar, that life is already flowing. It is already surging within that magnificent little package. And that is what we get to call up. And when we get it, that this is what we are, then anything and everything that is unlike it naturally drops away. It just drops away. And the more that we get it, the more that we are able to live it. And we have the courage to express it. And we have the boldness to be uniquely ourselves. And that boldness is just, Okay, just for a moment, drop in. Drop into that stillness. Okay, and in that stillness, take a quick scan. Is there anything that you know is in you? Anything that you have ever held back? And remember, we're in church. You got to be honest. So, is there anything that you held back? Okay. Now switch it over to what Dr. Holmes was saying. Okay. As an incarnation of the divine, then using Williamson's quote, how dare you not express it? And so you might just make a little list of things that, hey, I would have if I could have, and I could have if I would have, and I can now because I now know. And so don't hold back. Experiment, be bold, be courageous. Let it all hang out because it's all divine. And then I have another one, and this one is another quote from Brené Brown. Get this, okay? Brené Brown said, true belonging is not passive. And this is an important one to get, okay? True belonging is not passive. It's not the belonging that comes with just joining a group. It's not fitting in or pretending or selling out because it's safer. It's a practice that requires us to be vulnerable, get uncomfortable, and learn to be present with people without sacrificing who you are. We want true belonging, but it takes tremendous courage to knowingly walk into hard moments. And so I say to walk into, quote, hard moments. The only reason you might label them a hard moment is because you have already projected on them that they're going to be a hard moment. Now, what if you took her statement about belonging, and because you belong, absolutely because you belong, and you can't not belong. Okay, so because you belong, then any situation in front of you, if you come into that space of knowing what you are, and then you enter whatever the situation is, you are entering in a state of belonging. You are entering in a state of confidence that says yes. And that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be disagreements. Disagreements happen, okay? Differences of opinion. My Lord, if we were all the same, it would, we'd never learn anything. We have to have those disagreements. We have to have those occasions when we butt up against somebody else's opinion or somebody else's idea, and then we can look for the truth coming out, because the truth arises from looking at and experiencing different perspectives. And so that's what I invite you to. So how differently would you interact, knowing that you are one with and inseparable from all, that you belong no matter what? And a gal by the name of Becca Stevens was talking about starting something, like we're starting, okay? And being courageous about it. And then thinking, oh my goodness, how could we be doing this? Who are we to think we could do this? And all that self-talk that says, who are we? How could we? Okay. We're going to change the world by being that. But the nasty backside of that is the world is going to change no matter what. So are we going to be an influencer? Are we going to do our part to make it the world that we claim we want, the world that works for everyone? So it's up to us to look at that and say, hey, what am I bringing to it? It seems ridiculous to somehow think that the world is not going to change. So it is going to change, and what are we going to do about it? And so what is ours to do? What can we do? And That's a question that I ask in personal visioning, life visioning every single morning. What is mine to do? How am I to be? And so I invite everybody to do that as first thing, maybe even before you get out of bed. Just take a moment and ask those two questions. Knowing that you are spirit incarnate, okay, how am I to be? What am I to do this day that unfolds and beyond? And then we do it. So, if I didn't have a cold, I would sing a very lovely line that starts out, I return. And then we couldn't find the sheet music for it, so they're not going to play it either. But anyway, the line, the lyric is, I return to the place of my beginning. And so I return consciously to the experience that baby boy LeVar had a few days ago. To knowing that I cannot be separate. You cannot be separate. We are communal beings, we are created in that mode, and what we need to do is hit the erase button on anything and everything that ever made us feel separate, because it's not true. Just flat out not true. So, because I have a commercial nature to me, there is a short plug. Okay, and that is one of the ways that you can definitely participate is we're having a congregational retreat on January 7th. Please plan to be there. See, it was a short ad. Okay, and always remember that the cosmos is collaborative. It is always working together for a greater good. And so, go for it. And so let's just take a quick moment in prayer, knowing absolutely that the truth of our being is belonging. The entire cosmos is collaborating for our good. And it is up to us to say yes, to lean in full faith and trust and say yes to fully expressing the divine in all its glory as us. And so it is.
So it is.
And so with that, I invite Gail to come.
Thank you, That's an awesome talk. And one of the ways Bell Hooks talked about love and belonging, how you can really be accountable and responsible, is to practice love from an action point of view as opposed to a feeling point of view. So with that, I would encourage you to be in support of our center, be in support of being in a place like this by your financial gifts, moving into that space of belonging. It's all about where we are, how we are, and how we show up. There are ways of giving, and so I just want for us to go into that prosperity blessing, which is on our sheet. And if you could read with me. I know that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously share my supply with the spiritual center. And so while you are thinking of giving and sharing, we have the music. Thank you.
Please keep.
And the lyrics are on your sheet. You can sing along.
What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Prosperity, purity, I claim it. Abundance, abundance is mine.
It is mine.
Close to me.
Close to me.
I feel joy all the time, all the time. I can deserve it,
I claim it. It is mine. I can have it. I deserve it. It is mine. Amen. All right, so there are ways of giving. We can do Givelify. Make sure that you go to CSL Metro. There is by check, and you could always follow along online to see where you can give by check. And there is one other way. What's the other?
PayPal, go to the website.
PayPal, go to the website, click on Zoom, you go straight into that PayPal, and please share your love in action. I bring unto you our Director of Family Services.
Oh, we just wanted to share.
Huh?
We bless the collection.
I bless the collection. I know it is well. All is well. Thank you.
We just wanted to share a little bit about belonging as we were talking about belonging. This is Xavier, and he's our newest member. And so he's going to let me talk about his art because I think it's a lot to stand up and do this. But we did stars, and we were talking about how all the stars belong in the sky, but you can be uniquely yours. And his is particularly interesting because it's super color coordinated. You'll see that each star, each part of the star is coordinated with the glitter.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's just a perfect art of belonging and being one and knowing that whatever your way of being in the world belongs right where you are.
Amen.
And so thank you for sharing your art with us. And we love you and we appreciate you and we'll see you next month. Yay!
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you. So we're gonna let that dry. Come on down. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Diane, and thank you, Xavier. So, let's see. We have a few announcements, and they are on your sheet, so please take it home and put it in a prominent place. Jason will be providing or coordinating our Christmas service on Christmas Day. And it is online, and he's done an awesome job getting it all organized, and so please plan to be with us Christmas morning online. And then on December 31st, we are part of the World Healing Peace Meditation. I think she took the wrong phone.
I think so.
Should we tell her? Oh. People who have multiple phones, they gave up. Okay. So, anyway, the World Healing Peace Meditation has been going on for, I think it's 37 years now. And it is a gathering in which people all around the world, multiple millions of them, hundreds of millions of them probably, set aside 1 hour at exactly the same time. And it's at noon Greenwich. And so that means it's 7 o'clock in the morning here. And when people say, oh, 7 o'clock in the morning, I say, eh. So we used to live on the West Coast. We did it at 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? So, you know, no whining's allowed at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's a perfectly decent time to be doing it. Anyway, so we, for a lot of reasons, are now doing it as part of the Heart of Peace meditation team. And so it will be on Facebook. And so we will be live a few minutes before the hour so that you can get on Facebook and join us for it. And to get there, you go to the Centers for Spiritual Living Facebook. So then on the 1st, I'll lead a meditation in lieu of service, because I figured that probably if people were up and working, they're not going to be real happy to get up and meditate, but they might in their pajamas from home. And if they were out partying, it would probably be a very healthy thing to do. So, and they can stay home and do it in their jammies. Okay, then comes where I made the plug at the end of today's message, and that is on Saturday. We are doing a whole day congregational retreat, and that is to look at what our purpose is, what our calling is, how we are going to show up in the world. And so ideally, come and be part of it. We're going to feed you. And so if you can be there for the whole day, great. If you can only be there for part of the day, adding your consciousness to it is perfect. So please do. And more details will be coming. We're going to be at a location in Alexandria. And so it's easy access, plenty of parking, food, bribery, I know. Okay, and then the 8th, we get to stay late here, and we've arranged for that, and it will be a combination of 2 of the most powerful ceremonies or services that we do. And that is that we will have a burning bowl ceremony, and if you have not done that, it is a fabulous process through which you connect with all the things, you know, the stories like I was talking about, or any of them, anything that is no longer serving you. And we do a process with fire that releases them, and then we come back in and allow spirit to fill our neuro ruts, okay? And then we allow spirit to do that, and then we'll break for brunch. And then after that, we will do spirit-led mapping. And spirit-led mapping is a beautiful spiritual experience where we go a guide into the stillness. And instead of treasure mapping, which has a tendency of being a mental process where I've decided where I want to go and so I put it on a map, okay, this is done from the heart center instead. And what we do is we go into a meditation, we connect with how is spirit calling us to be. And then we gather pictures from magazines. And by the way, please bring magazines. But we gather pictures that connect with what it is that spirit has ignited in us, and create collages. And I can assure you, I may even bring a group of them because I have a collection of maps done, collages done in that mode that have happened. They've fulfilled. As a result of those, I have traveled far points of the world and had some experiences that I wouldn't have ever thought I could, but they did. So, mark them on your calendar, please. I think that's all of the announcements. I think the other thing that I didn't include, next week, oh yeah, how could I not do the next week? This evening, singing bowls at our house. So if you can be there for the meditation, it's awesome, not just because I'm doing it. Then next week, our speaker is Diane. She will be shifting from family ministry to being our speaker next week online. If I got everything, I think.
You would, when you talked about congregational here, in this part of it, you said on Saturday, but it's
Saturday, January 7th. Yeah, fortunately it's written.
Yeah, right. Just
Yeah.
for really good
And
people who
that's-
may not have that flyer.
Yeah, and so thank you. That's January 7th, and so please plan to be here. So I think we're complete, so we can do some music and a final affirmation.
Come together, heart and soul as we run together. Young and old, we will sing together. Together in one song. Come together, from different worlds we are drawn together. In our own way we can pray together. Together we are strong. I see God in you. You see God in me. One heart, one vision, one family. All together, dreams and hands we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are whole. Together we are whole. Together we are whole.
Thank you. Give those wonderful musicians some love. So together, let's do our let's do. Let's do our closing blessing. How about everybody stand and we'll do our closing blessing? Okay. Middle of the page on the back, okay. So, I leave this place now, knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create a life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I'm grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. Yay! So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, yeah, everything and everyone. Thank you, Betsy. We love having you with us.